The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, releasing a breath of warm air scented with polished wood and expensive cologne. Harper Ellington stepped out, clutching the navy blue folder against her chest. Inside was the finalized proposal Cole had forgotten at home, something he needed for a high-stakes meeting. She should have been used to these sudden errands, but today felt different. Heavy. Icy. The glossy marble floor of the 42nd floor corridor reflected the flickering winter sunlight pouring through the tall windows. Harper's pulse quickened. She could already picture Cole's cool smile, the one he reserved for everyone but her. Maybe, she thought, this gesture would ease the tension between them. Maybe he'd finally see that she was trying. She reached his office door, frosted glass trimmed in brushed gold, the kind prestigious executives liked. Her hand lifted automatically to knock, then stopped. A shadow moved behind the blur of the glass, then another. She leaned closer. For a moment, shapes blended together, just silhouettes shifting and merging. But then the movement sharpened, and her heart felt like it dropped straight through her body. Cole's hands. A woman's hair. A kiss, slow, deliberate, unmistakably intimate. Harper blinked once. Twice. Her body froze, refusing to breathe. Her brain fought to deny what her eyes already knew. Cole wasn't hugging someone. He wasn't comforting anyone. He was kissing her. His hand trailing down her waist. Her fingers hooked behind his neck. The woman leaned back just enough for Harper to see her face. Ava Sinclair. The assistant Cole insisted was barely even noticeable. Harper's vision blurred. The folder slipped from her grasp, scattering papers across the hallway. But neither of them heard. They were too busy whispering, laughing, planning something she wasn't meant to witness. Then Ava lifted her phone. She wasn't just kissing him. She was recording him. Harper staggered back, breath trembling, pulse thundering in her ears. And that was when Cole turned, eyes darting to the door, narrowing in alarm. And the moment his gaze met hers, everything shattered. He stepped toward the door, fast. Harper Ellington had always believed that pain announced itself loudly. She imagined heartbreak came like a thunderclap, shattering everything in one violent strike. But the truth was quieter, crueler. It crept in slowly through the small cracks she had ignored for years. Long before the moment outside Cole's office, there had been signs. Subtle shifts. A growing coldness. Their penthouse overlooking Fifth Avenue looked picture-perfect. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble counters, a Cartier jewelry box sitting prettily on her dresser. To outsiders, it was the life people posted about on Instagram. But inside, silence had begun to smother her. Meals eaten alone, conversations reduced to reminders and instructions. Cole's excuses, late meetings, client dinners, pressure from the board. Harper wanted to believe him, needed to believe him. Because the alternative meant her entire marriage was built on lies. Her mother's illness made everything heavier. Harper worked extra hours, juggling hospital visits between deadlines. Cole covered the bills, yes, but not out of love. He held them over her like leverage, subtle reminders that she depended on him. Every time she brought up her mother's treatment, he sighed as if she were a burden. She learned to keep her worries quiet. Then came the night she found the hotel reservation on his Amex statement. A luxury suite in Soho. Cole claimed it was for a client he couldn't name because of confidentiality agreements. Harper apologized for doubting him. She actually apologized. And then there was Ava Sinclair. Pretty, poised, too attentive. Harper noticed the way Ava's laughter lingered a little too long around Cole, the way Cole straightened his tie when she walked by. But he brushed it off, called her paranoid, said stress was making her irrational. She believed him again, because she still hoped the man she fell in love with was buried somewhere underneath the polished exterior and the lies. But deep down, she felt something approaching, something dark. The night before everything shattered, she woke from a nightmare drenched in sweat, overwhelmed by a sense of impending loss. She couldn't explain it, only that it felt real. She sat at the window until dawn broke over Manhattan, telling herself she was imagining things. She wasn't. As she wiped her tears, Cole received a message he thought she'd never see. Manhattan had a way of dazzling people into forgetting their own sadness. Harper Ellington used to love that about the city. The glittering skyline, the hum of taxis on Fifth Avenue, the sense that life was always in motion. But lately, even the beauty felt distant, like something she was watching through a glass wall she couldn't break. Every morning, she left their penthouse with a forced smile, brushing past the doorman who always greeted her kindly. She carried her MacBook and color-coded planner, pretending she still belonged in the buzzing world of marketing she once thrived in. But her confidence had faded under Cole's subtle criticisms. "You're losing your edge, Harper. Clients don't take you seriously anymore. Maybe it's time you stopped working and focused on home." Home. A word that had lost its warmth. The penthouse was immaculate, marble floors, soft gray furniture, an unobstructed view of Central Park, but it echoed with absence. Cole was rarely there, and when he was, tension filled the space. He spent evenings pacing in front of the massive windows, muttering about investors and deadlines, shutting Harper out of every conversation. When she asked if something was wrong, he snapped or sighed or simply walked away. She tried to ground herself in the things she once loved, morning lattes from the cafe on Madison Avenue, sketching design ideas, flipping through magazines. But even those felt hollow. Her therapist had once told her, "Environments reflect emotions." Harper had laughed then, but now she understood. The penthouse was stunning yet cold, beautiful yet empty, just like her marriage. Even at work, the atmosphere had shifted. Co-workers whispered when she passed. Meetings she should have been invited to happened behind closed doors. A project she led was suddenly reassigned. Someone was undermining her, and she had a terrible suspicion who. Cole had connections everywhere. If he wanted her career weakened, he could do it quietly, efficiently, without leaving fingerprints. Harper stood one night at the window, watching the city glow beneath her. She pressed a hand against the glass, feeling her own breath fog it slightly. She was surrounded by luxury, yet she'd never felt more alone. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. A notification lit up the screen. One message, from an unknown number. Cliffhanger. You deserve to know what he's been hiding. The message lingered on Harper's phone, glowing like a warning she wasn't ready to face. You deserve to know what he's been hiding. Her fingers trembled as she held the device, rereading the words again and again. She looked around the penthouse, as if someone could be watching her through the tall glass windows overlooking Manhattan. The room suddenly felt smaller, tighter, as though the walls themselves were whispering secrets she hadn't uncovered. She typed back a single word. Who? No response. She waited. Seconds stretched into minutes. Nothing. She tried to steady her breathing. Maybe it was spam, or a mistake, or worse, someone messing with her because they sensed her vulnerability. But deep inside, a sinking feeling took root. Someone knew something she didn't. something Cole didn't want her to know. And it wasn't the first sign. 2 weeks earlier, she had walked into Cole's study, only to have him slam his laptop shut like a guilty teenager caught watching something he shouldn't. He laughed it off, kissed her forehead, told her she was too tense lately. But she noticed the way he tucked the device under his arm, as if it were dangerous for her to see. Then there was the perfume. Not hers, she hadn't worn that floral scent in years. But one evening when Cole came home late, it clung to him subtly, yet unmistakably. When she asked, he rolled his eyes and told her to stop imagining problems. She apologized again, feeling foolish for even bringing it up. Her best friend Lila noticed the cracks too. Over lunch, she leaned forward and whispered, "Harper, something's off. You look like you're carrying 1,000 pounds." Harper forced a smile, insisting she was fine, but Lila wasn't convinced. Still, Harper pushed the doubts away. She clung to the belief that Cole was stressed, that marriage required patience, that she couldn't risk shaking the fragile stability she had left, especially with her mother's medical bills stacking up. But now, this message, this anonymous warning. Her heart pounded, louder than the city noise outside. She set the phone down and backed away as if it might explode. Just then, the screen lit up again, a second message. This time not words, a photo. Cliffhanger. Cole, with Ava, outside a hotel Harper never knew he visited. Harper's breath caught as she stared at the photo glowing on her phone screen. Cole and Ava stood outside the Mercer Hotel in Soho, his hand on the small of her back, hers wrapped around his arm. They weren't rushing. They weren't hiding. They looked comfortable, intimate, like a couple who had done this many times before. Her entire body felt cold, but nothing compared to what she would see next. The next afternoon, with her heart still bruised and her mind consumed by doubt, Harper stood outside Cole's office building. She'd told herself she was just delivering the corrected financial reports he'd accidentally left behind. But deep down, she knew she came because she needed to look him in the eyes, needed the truth straight from his mouth. The lobby shimmered with soft gold lighting, the type meant to make powerful men look even more untouchable. Harper swallowed hard and took the elevator up, her pulse pounding against her ribs. When she stepped into the hallway, everything slowed. Cole's door was half closed. A sliver of warm light spilled onto the marble floor. Voices floated through the gap, soft, breathy, painfully familiar. Harper moved closer, each step heavier than the last. She saw them before she heard them. Shadows intertwined behind the frosted glass. Cole leaned forward, hand cupping Ava's face gently. So gently, it shattered something inside Harper. Ava lifted onto her toes, lips brushing his. The kiss was slow, confident, certain. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't stress. This was betrayal, deliberate and practiced. Harper gasped, covering her mouth before sound escaped. Her eyes burned, her knees weakened, her entire world tilting off its axis. Her marriage, every memory, every promise, collapsed in one silent blow. But then, something shifted. Ava pulled back, smiling wickedly as she lifted her phone. She hit record. Cole didn't stop her. He didn't even flinch. He smirked, as if he had nothing to lose, as if he'd done this before, as if he wanted proof. Harper stumbled backward, colliding with the wall, her heartbeat roaring in her ears. Papers slipped from her hands and scattered across the floor. That sound, soft, frantic, made Cole turn. His eyes widened. Ava gasped. Harper froze. Cliffhanger. Cole whispered her name and stepped toward her like she was the one who had done something wrong. Harper didn't remember leaving the 42nd floor. One moment Cole was calling her name, his voice sharp with panic and irritation, and the next she was stumbling into the cold Manhattan air, her lungs burning as though she had run miles. The city roared around her, traffic blaring, people weaving through sidewalks, winter wind slicing through her coat, but she felt none of it. Her world had narrowed to the echo of that image. Cole kissing Ava, Ava recording him, the two of them smirking like conspirators. Her fingers shook as she fumbled with her phone, trying to call someone, anyone, but her vision blurred with tears. She couldn't breathe. Her chest tightened, the edges of her world going soft and dizzy. She leaned against a street lamp near Bryant Park, forcing air into her lungs. People rushed past, indifferent to her collapse. Manhattan didn't stop for heartbreak. A cab splashed icy water onto her boots. A siren wailed in the distance. Her body trembled uncontrollably. Just then, her phone buzzed. A new email. Harper wiped her tears and clicked it open, expecting spam, or worse, Cole. Instead, she found an anonymous message with no subject line. Only 3 words. He did more. Attached was a short audio clip. Harper hesitated, breath shaky, then pressed play. Cole's voice filled her ears, calm, dismissive, cruel. She's too easy to manipulate. Harper won't leave. She can't afford to. She's dependent on me. A woman laughed softly. Ava. You promised you'd be done with her soon. I will. She just needs one last push. Harper covered her mouth, strangling a sob. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning her exit from his life like a business transaction. A gust of wind nearly knocked her off balance. She crouched on the curb, hugging her arms around herself, feeling the weight of everything, her mother's illness, her career slipping away, her marriage decaying from the inside out. She needed help. She needed someone who wouldn't call her crazy. With trembling fingers, she tapped her best friend's number. Lila, I need you, she whispered when the call connected. Where are you? Stay right there, I'm coming. Harper closed her eyes, letting the city blur into a haze of lights and noise. And then her phone buzzed again, another email, this one containing a video file. Cliffhanger, the subject line read, You haven't seen the worst yet. By the time Lila's car pulled up, Harper was shivering violently, whether from the winter air or the truth unraveling around her. She couldn't tell. Lila rushed out, wrapping her arms around her tightly. Harper, honey, what happened? Harper couldn't answer, not without breaking. So she simply handed Lila her phone. The video file was still unopened. Back in Lila's small Brooklyn apartment, Harper sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket, staring at the screen as if it might bite. Lila knelt in front of her, voice gentle but steady. Whatever's in that video, you're not watching it alone. Harper nodded. Her thumb hovered a moment more before she finally pressed play. The footage was grainy, shot from a hallway camera. Cole's voice came first, sharp, irritated. Ava, stop recording everything. You're paranoid, she teased. I'm careful, he snapped. Harper can't know anything until the papers are ready. Harper felt her stomach drop. Then she appeared on the screen, herself, entering the apartment days earlier. Cole's expression changed instantly. He switched into performance mode. Harper, sweetheart, you scared me. I thought you were working late. But the second she left the frame, his face hardened. Cole muttered, The sooner she breaks down, the sooner I can move on. Harper's hand clamped over her mouth. Lila's eyes widened with horror.
"He's setting you up," Lila whispered. "He wants people to think you're unstable."
Harper nodded weakly, tears blurring her vision. Suddenly, everything clicked. The missing financial documents, the strange accusations at work, the neighbors asking if she was okay, the therapist referrals Cole kept pushing on her. He wasn't just cheating. He was building a case to destroy her. Her pulse pounded as rage mixed with fear. "I have to go home," she whispered. "I need answers." "Harper, no." But she was already standing. She had to confront him, had to hear him explain the unexplainable, even if it shattered her completely. Lila grabbed her coat and keys. "I'm not letting you face him alone." When they reached the penthouse, the city lights flickered across the polished floor as Harper pushed the door open. Cole was waiting, arms crossed, face unreadable, as if she were the one who had betrayed him. "We need to talk, Harper," Cole said calmly. Too calmly. Harper stepped into the penthouse, her heart pounding so loudly she wondered if Cole could hear it. The lights were dim, casting long shadows across the pristine living room. Cole stood near the window, arms crossed, posture stiff, as if he'd been rehearsing this moment. Lila hovered behind Harper, ready to intervene if necessary. Cole didn't acknowledge Lila. His cold blue eyes stayed locked on Harper. "You shouldn't have come here unannounced," he said, voice dangerously calm. Harper swallowed hard. "Unannounced? This is my home, Cole." His jaw flexed. "For now." The words sliced deeper than any accusation. She took a shaky step forward. "I saw you. At the office. I saw everything." For a split second, guilt flickered across his face. Quick, sharp, then swallowed by arrogance. "So," Cole said, "you were going to find out eventually." Harper blinked. "Eventually?" "Yes." He exhaled as though she was the inconvenience. "Our marriage hasn't worked in years. Ava understands me. She isn't exhausting." Harper felt the air leave her lungs. "Exhausting?" Cole shrugged. "You've been emotional, unreliable, distracted with your mother's hospital visits. I can't build a future with someone who's falling apart." Lila gasped. "Are you kidding me?" Cole ignored her. His gaze stayed on Harper. "And let's be honest," he continued. "You need me more than I need you. Financially, professionally, emotionally." There it was, the truth he'd been weaponizing for months. Harper trembled, rage and heartbreak crashing inside her. "So that's why you're trying to frame me as unstable? So you can walk away clean?" Cole's face hardened. "Careful what you say. You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, but I do." Harper pulled out her phone, her hand trembling. "I heard the audio. I saw the hotel video. And I know Ava has recordings." For the first time, Cole's composure cracked. "You went through my things?" Harper's voice rose. "I went through nothing! The evidence found me!" Cole took a step toward her, expression darkening. "You're making a mistake, Harper. A big one." Lila moved between them. "Back away from her." Cole's eyes narrowed, not with fear but with calculation. Then he smiled, slowly, chillingly. "Harper, you have no idea what's coming next." At that exact moment, someone knocked on the penthouse door, hard. The pounding on the penthouse door echoed through the room, sharp and urgent. Harper flinched, Lila stiffened,
and Cole's expression shifted from controlled irritation to sudden alarm.
For a moment, nobody moved. Then Cole hissed, "Stay here." He strode toward the door with the confidence of a man who believed he controlled every outcome. Harper's pulse hammered. What if it was Ava? What if it was someone sent by Cole to intimidate her? Her mind spiraled through possibilities, none of them good. Cole opened the door halfway. A stern voice cut through the air. "Mr. Ellington, we need to speak with you regarding internal discrepancies flagged by your finance division." Cole froze. Two men in suits stood in the doorway, compliance officers from his company. Harper's eyes widened. She hadn't expected this. She wasn't sure if she wanted relief or more fear. Cole forced a polite smile. "Gentlemen, this is not a good time. Send me an email." "I'm afraid this cannot wait," one of them said firmly. "We've been instructed to retrieve your company laptop tonight." Harper saw it, the flicker of pure panic behind Cole's eyes. His laptop contained everything. Emails, transfers, the documents he never intended anyone to see. He stepped into the hallway, lowering his voice. "Can we discuss this privately?" But the officers shook their heads. "We need the laptop now, sir." Lila whispered to Harper, "They're onto him. This could be big." Harper's breath trembled. For the first time, she saw fear, not anger, not dominance, not manipulation, fear in Cole's posture. He looked back toward her, and in that moment, she understood. He thought she had done this. He thought Harper had exposed him. His jaw tightened. "I'll get it," he muttered, storming past them into his office. The instant he disappeared, Lila grabbed Harper's wrist. "We're leaving." "Right now." I can't just—" "Yes, you can," Lila insisted. "Before he turns this on you, before he does something worse." Harper's chest tightened, but she nodded. This was her chance, maybe her only one. They moved quickly, avoiding the officer's attention, slipping down the private stairwell instead of the elevator. Harper's hands shook as she clutched her bag, what little she could grab in time. When they emerged onto the street, the cold night air hit her face like a slap. She didn't look back, but as Lila flagged down a cab, Harper's phone buzzed. A new message from the same unknown sender. "You need protection. He's not done." Harper lay on the small, pull-out couch in Lila's Brooklyn apartment, staring at the ceiling as if it could offer answers. The city noises outside, sirens honking, the distant rumble of the subway felt strangely comforting compared to the suffocating silence of the penthouse she had just fled. She wrapped herself in a borrowed blanket, still trembling from everything that had happened. Lila placed a warm mug of tea beside her. "Drink this. You need something steady inside you." Harper tried to smile, but her lips barely moved. "I don't know who I am anymore." "You're someone who survived him," Lila said softly. "And that counts." On the table nearby sat something Harper rarely had time for anymore. Her old Kindle. Lila had found it in one of Harper's boxes, along with a stack of books she used to underline obsessively. Self-growth, resilience, healing. One title rested on top. Women Who Run with the Wolves. Harper hadn't touched it since before she married Cole. She reached for it slowly, almost afraid it would crumble in her hands. "You used to love that book," Lila reminded her. Harper opened to a random page. The highlighted line read, "A woman who has forgotten to trust her instincts has forgotten the strongest part of herself." The words hit her like a quiet, devastating truth. She had ignored every instinct, every warning, every whisper in her chest telling her Cole was draining her life little by little.
She had chosen the illusion of stability over her own voice. Not anymore. Her phone buzzed again, the unknown sender. Lila looked over. "Are you going to open it?" Harper hesitated. Fear and curiosity twisted inside her. But she nodded. The message wasn't a threat this time. It was a name. Julian Cross, followed by, "He can help you. He already knows what Cole has done." Harper frowned.
She recognized the name. CEO of a major media group, powerful, influential, and unexpectedly kind when she met him months ago during a marketing pitch. Why would he know anything? And why would he help her? Before she could process it, a second message arrived. A location, a time, tonight. And the final line sent a chill through her. Go, before Cole finds you. Harper stood outside the cafe Julian Cross had chosen, her breath fogging in the cold night air. She pulled her coat tighter, scanning the street for any sign of Cole. Every passing car made her flinch. Lila stayed in the Uber nearby, refusing to leave until Harper was safely inside. The cafe was quiet, dimly lit, with only a few customers lingering over late-night espresso. Julian sat in the corner, perfectly composed in a charcoal coat and crisp shirt, his expression unreadable. When he saw her, he stood, surprised, relieved, concerned all at once. "Harper," he said gently, "you came." "I didn't know where else to go," she admitted, her voice thin. Julian gestured to the seat opposite him. "You're safe here." Safe. The word nearly broke her. She sat, hands trembling. "You said you know what Cole's done. Why? How?" Julian hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Your husband has been under internal review for months. Unauthorized transfers, inconsistent reports, anonymous complaints about his behavior toward subordinates." He paused. Some of those complaints mentioned Ava Sinclair. Harper's breath hitched. "So the company suspects them?" "Suspected," Julian corrected. "Until today, when things escalated." Harper swallowed, her voice barely a whisper. "Why involve me?" Julian leaned forward. "Because your name appeared in the files. Not as a witness, as a target." Her stomach turned. "A target?" Julian nodded grimly. "Cole filed preliminary claims stating you were emotionally unstable, prone to violent episodes, and unfit to handle shared assets. He's been building a case to discredit you before filing for divorce." Harper felt the room spin. This was bigger, darker than she imagined. "I didn't want to believe it," Julian continued. "But when I saw additional recordings forwarded anonymously, I knew you were in danger." "Recordings?" she echoed. "Yes, audio and video of Cole discussing ways to push you over the edge." Julian's jaw tightened. "Someone inside his company sent them. They wanted you protected." Harper's hands shook uncontrollably. "Protected from my own husband?" Julian nodded once. "Harper, you need legal counsel and distance from him. I can help with both." Before she could respond, the cafe door swung open. A blast of cold air rushed in. Harper froze. Cole walked in, his eyes locked on her. Cliffhanger. He smiled, like he had found exactly what he came for. Cole's entrance sucked the air straight out of the cafe. Conversations dimmed, chairs scraped quietly. Even the barista paused mid-espresso pull. Harper felt her pulse thunder against her ribs, her fingers gripping the edge of the table so tightly her knuckles whitened. Julian didn't turn immediately. He watched Harper instead,
reading the terror in her eyes before glancing over his shoulder. Cole stepped forward with the casual confidence of a man who believed consequences were for other people. His coat was perfectly pressed, his smile cold and deliberate. "Well," he drawled, "isn't this cozy?" Harper's throat tightened. "Cole, what are you doing here?"
"I could ask you the same." His gaze flicked to Julian. "Though I suppose my wife has always had impulsive tendencies." Julian rose slowly from his seat, posture calm but unmistakably protective. "Mr. Ellington, this isn't the place for whatever conversation you think you're here to have." Cole ignored him. His attention stayed fixed on Harper. "You left the apartment. You ran from a situation you clearly misunderstood. And then you meet with him?" His brows lifted. "This looks very unfaithful, Harper." Her breath caught. "Excuse me?" "I should have expected it," he continued, tone icy. "Someone as emotionally unstable as you." "Say that again," Julian cut in sharply. Cole turned, annoyance flashing in his eyes. "This is between my wife and me." Julian stepped forward, shoulders squared. "Not anymore. Harper isn't safe with you." Cole laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. "Safe? She's spiraling." "You have no idea what she's capable of." Julian didn't blink. "I've seen the footage. I know exactly what you're capable of." For a moment, everything froze. Cole's smile evaporated. His jaw tightened. "You think you can intimidate me with stolen recordings?" "They weren't stolen," Julian replied evenly. "They were sent by someone inside your company. Someone who realized Harper needed protection." Color drained from Cole's face before rage ignited in its place. "You think you can destroy me? You're making a serious mistake." Julian leaned in, voice low. The mistake was underestimating her. Harper watched the exchange, a strange mix of fear and strength swirling in her chest. She wasn't alone. Not anymore. Cole straightened, exhaling sharply. "Harper, you're coming with me, now." Harper shook her head. "No, Cole, I'm not." He stepped closer, voice dropping to a dark whisper. "If you walk away from me tonight, I promise you'll regret it." Julian moved instantly, placing himself between them. "Step back," he warned. Cole's eyes narrowed. Cliffhanger. He reached into his coat pocket, slowly, too slowly. For a heartbeat, the entire cafe held still. Harper's breath froze as Cole's hand lingered inside his coat, slow, deliberate, threatening. Julian didn't flinch. He positioned himself squarely between Harper and the man who once vowed to protect her, but now looked ready to destroy her. "Careful," Cole hissed, eyes locked on Julian. "You don't know what you're getting involved in." Julian's voice was calm, but unmistakably dangerous. "Take your hand out of your pocket. Slowly." Cole smirked, as if enjoying the tension. He withdrew his hand and, instead of a weapon, he revealed a sleek black envelope. He tossed it onto the table. Harper stared at it, dread curling in her stomach. "What is that?" she whispered. "Evidence," Cole said. "My attorneys have drafted the preliminary motion. Your mental health history, your erratic behavior, your financial dependence, they all paint a very clear picture." Harper's chest tightened. "You're framing me." "I'm correcting the narrative," Cole replied coldly. "Before you let people like him," he nodded at Julian, "rewrite it for you." Julian stepped forward. "She's done believing your lies, and she's not alone anymore." Something flickered in Cole's eyes. Recognition, maybe even fear.
but he masked it quickly with contempt. "You really think you can protect her?" Cole sneered. "I have influence, connections, leverage. And I," Julian cut in sharply, "have the truth." Harper looked between them, a tremor of hope rising for the first time in months.
Julian continued, voice steady and precise. "Cole, someone inside your company sent me the internal files you tried to bury. The transfers, the falsified reports, the audio. If you push Harper, we push back, and trust me, I don't lose." Cole's bravado faltered. "You're bluffing." Julian pulled out his phone. "Am I?" He tapped once. A recording played, the same one Harper heard on the street. Cole's voice, unmistakable, cruel. "She's too easy to manipulate. Harper won't leave. She can't afford to." Every customer in the cafe heard it. Cole lunged toward the phone, furious, but Julian blocked him. Harper rose shakily to her feet. "It's over, Cole. You can't control me anymore." Cole stepped back, chest heaving, eyes burning with hatred. "This isn't over," he spat. "You have no idea what I can do." Julian moved closer, lowering his voice to a steel-edged warning. "And you have no idea who just turned against you." Cole blinked. "What?" Julian's eyes narrowed. "Cliffhanger. Your assistant Ava sent the files, Cole. She betrayed you." Cole's face drained of color. For once, the perfectly controlled executive mask he always wore cracked wide open. "Ava?" he whispered, disbelief twisting his features. "She wouldn't. She couldn't." "Oh, she did," Julian said calmly. "And not just a little. She sent everything. Audio, video, transfers, screenshots. She even included her own notes about your future divorce strategy." Cole staggered back a step, gripping the edge of a table, as if the ground beneath him had tilted. Harper watched him, this man who once made her feel so small, now staring at the ruins of the empire he'd built on manipulation. "Why?" Cole muttered. "She said she was loyal." Julian raised an eyebrow. "She was loyal to whoever benefited her most. And right now, that's not you." Harper exhaled slowly, for the first time feeling the weight begin to lift off her shoulders. Cole's power wasn't infinite. His lies weren't impenetrable. The fear he wrapped around her like chains had begun to crumble. Cole straightened abruptly, rage igniting behind his eyes. "This isn't enough to take me down. You don't have everything." Julian's voice darkened. "We have more than you know." Harper stepped forward, her voice stronger than she expected. "You tried to break me, Cole. You isolated me, controlled me, lied to everyone about me." Her gaze didn't waver. "But you forgot something." Cole scoffed bitterly. "What's that?" "That truth doesn't stay buried forever." A flicker of something, fear, regret, passed through his eyes, but vanished just as quickly. Lila, who had slipped into the cafe unnoticed, finally approached, placing a hand on Harper's shoulder. "We need to go. Cole isn't thinking straight." Julian nodded. "Harper, tonight you stay somewhere secure. Tomorrow, we meet with legal counsel." Cole let out a low, dangerous laugh. "You think you're winning? You think this ends with you walking away clean?" His voice trembled with fury. "I will not lose everything because of you." He reached into his pocket again, not slowly this time, but with sharp, frantic motion. Julian moved instantly, shielding Harper. "Cole, don't!" Cole pulled out, not a weapon, but his phone. He slammed it on the table. "You want evidence?
You want the truth? He snarled. Fine, I'll show you exactly what she's capable of. He tapped the screen. A recorded call began to play. Harper froze. She recognized the voice, her own, except twisted, edited, manipulated.
Cliffhanger. This, Cole said with a cold smile, is how I destroy you. The distorted recording echoed through the cafe like poison. Harper's own voice, except not hers, filled the room, chopped and rearranged to sound hysterical, unstable, dangerous.
I can't take it anymore. I'll ruin everything. You'll see. Everyone will see. Harper's heart dropped. She had never said anything close to that. Cole had stitched fragments of conversations, breaths, pauses, turning them into a weapon. Her weapon. Julian snatched the phone, replaying it with a critical ear. This is edited, he said immediately. Sloppy work. Different background noise, inconsistent tone. You really thought this would hold up in court? Cole's lips curled. It's enough to plant doubt. Enough to show she's unstable. Enough to keep her from taking a single cent from me. Harper stepped forward, trembling but furious.
You recorded me? You manipulated my voice just to make me look insane? Cole didn't blink. You made it easy. Julian's expression hardened. You're done, Ellington. Cole laughed darkly. No. You don't understand how this game works. I invested years into building my reputation. I know people, powerful people. People who will believe me over a woman who cries in public and hides in cheap apartments. Harper flinched, but Julian caught her arm gently, grounding her. Cole sneered. You think she's some rising phoenix? Please. She's weak. Always has been. That's why she needs me. No, Harper said softly. Her voice steadied. I needed hope. I needed love. I needed the man I thought you were. Cole rolled his eyes, but Harper continued. And now I see the truth. You never loved me. You wanted control. Julian added sharply, and you're losing it. Cole slammed his fist onto the table, rattling the glasses. You think this ends in a courtroom? You think evidence matters more than influence? He leaned closer, voice dripping venom. I'm not afraid to burn everything down. Julian stepped in front of Harper. Including yourself? Because that's exactly what's happening. Cole's nostrils flared. For the first time, a crack of uncertainty appeared. Then the cafe door opened again. A young woman stepped inside, shaky, pale, terrified. Ava Sinclair. Her eyes darted to Harper, then to Cole. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. I have to tell the truth. Cole's face turned murderous. Cliffhanger. Ava reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive labeled For Harper. Ava's hand trembled as she held the flash drive out toward Harper. The cafe had fallen silent again, the tension thick enough to choke on. Julian gently guided Harper behind him, but Harper stepped forward anyway, eyes steady, breath controlled. Cole's voice cracked like a whip. Ava, don't you dare! Ava flinched, but didn't retreat. I can't be part of this anymore, Cole. I thought you cared about me. I thought you'd protect me. But you're dangerous, and you're reckless, and you're going to drag everyone down with you. Cole let out a bitter laugh. You think helping her will save you? Ava swallowed hard. No, but it might save me from myself. Julian reached out and took the flash drive. What's on it? Ava's eyes glistened with tears. Everything. The unedited recordings, the financial documents, the messages he told me to delete, the video of him telling me to
push Harper until she breaks. I kept copies because—" she shuddered. "Because I knew this day would come." Cole lunged toward her, but Julian blocked him again, this time with sharp authority. "Touch her, and I'll have you arrested before you reach the door," Julian said. Cole's face twisted, rage boiling under his skin. Harper's voice rose, trembling but resolute. "Why help me now, Ava?" Ava met her gaze, guilt pouring through her expression. "Because you never deserved this. And because he told me what he planned next." Harper's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" Ava closed her eyes. "He wasn't just framing you. He was planning to leak those edited recordings to your employer. He wanted you fired, ruined, dependent on him so he could divorce you quietly." She inhaled shakily. "He said, once your reputation was destroyed, you'd accept whatever settlement he offered." Harper felt the ground tilt, fury rising like fire in her throat.
Lila's hand squeezed her shoulder, grounding her. Julian slid the flash drive into his pocket. "Then it's over. This is enough to end his career, protect Harper, and trigger a full investigation." Cole's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You think I'll let you walk out with that? You have no idea who you're up against." Julian turned, ushering Harper and Lila toward the exit. "Yes, we do. A desperate man who just lost everything." Ava followed, but Harper paused at the door. Cole stared at her, wild, breath uneven, a storm ready to break. "Harper," he growled, "you walk out that door, and your life changes forever." Harper met his gaze steadily. "Good." She turned to leave. But flashing blue and red lights strobed across the cafe windows as police cars pulled up outside. Red and blue lights washed across the cafe walls as officers stepped out of their patrol cars, their radios crackling in the cold night air. Harper froze at the threshold, her breath caught between fear and disbelief. Lila tightened her grip on Harper's arm. Julian instinctively shifted in front of them, shielding them from Cole's escalating fury. Cole spun toward the window. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, voice cracking with panic. Ava whispered, "They weren't supposed to come this soon." The cafe door swung open, and 2 NYPD officers entered. Their eyes swept over the room before settling on Cole Ellington, disheveled, shaking, no longer the polished executive who commanded every room he walked into. "Cole Ellington?" the taller officer asked. Cole straightened, trying to recover his composure. "Yes. What is this about?" "I haven't done anything. We're here to escort you to headquarters for questioning regarding financial irregularities flagged by your company's compliance division," the officer said firmly. "You are not under arrest, but you are required to come with us." Cole barked out a laugh, thin, desperate. "This is a misunderstanding. My company wouldn't send police. They'd call me directly." Julian stepped forward. "They did. You ignored them twice." The other officer added, "Sir, your company's legal department filed an emergency request tonight due to newly surfaced evidence." Ava swallowed hard, staring at the floor. Cole's head snapped toward her. "You little—" "Enough," Julian snapped. "You don't get to threaten her anymore." Cole's mask crumbled completely. "You think this scares me? This is nothing. I will walk out of there in an hour, and when I do, all of you, especially you, Harper, will regret ever thinking you could take me down." But there was no conviction left in his tone, only fear. The officers motioned him forward. Cole hesitated, pride and panic warring in his eyes, before finally stepping toward them.
As he passed Harper, he leaned in just enough for only her to hear. "This isn't over." Harper didn't flinch this time. "Yes, it is." Cole's jaw tightened as the officers led him outside, their hands hovering near his back, not touching, but close enough to remind him he was no longer untouchable. The moment the doors closed behind them, Harper's knees gave out, but Julian caught her before she fell. "It's okay," he murmured. "This is the beginning of the end for him." Ava wiped her eyes. "There's one more thing you need to see. Something I didn't put on the flash drive."
Something worse. Harper's stomach tightened. Worse? Ava nodded, trembling. "It's about why he really needed you out of the way," she whispered. Harper felt the room tilt slightly as Ava's words settled in the air. Why he really needed you out of the way. It echoed in her chest like a warning she wished she could ignore. Julian helped her to a chair, while Lila rubbed her back, whispering, "Whatever it is, you can handle it." But Harper wasn't sure. Tonight had already stretched the limits of what she believed she could survive. Ava sat across from her, wringing her hands, eyes red and swollen. "Cole didn't just want to divorce you quietly," she said, voice cracking. "He needed you publicly discredited first." Harper frowned. "Why? What could possibly justify destroying me like that?" Ava inhaled shakily. "Because the money he stole, the transfers, some of it is in your name." Harper's blood ran cold. Julian stiffened. "Explain, now." Ava nodded quickly. "Cole used your identity, your signature, your login credentials, to mask some of the illegal transfers, just enough to make it look like you were complicit." Harper's breath caught. "He forged my signature?" "He forged everything," Ava whispered. "Emails, approval stamps, even messages where you authorized high-risk investments. If the company investigated, which he knew they eventually would, you'd be implicated unless he had a reason to paint you as unstable, untrustworthy, mentally unfit." Julian cursed under his breath. He set her up as the fall person. Ava nodded miserably. "He said if things got messy, he'd make sure you took the hit." He said the board would never question him over a woman who couldn't even control her emotions. Harper's world spun. Her marriage wasn't a partnership. It was a trap. A beautifully decorated prison designed to collapse on her. Lila's voice trembled with fury. "We're going to bury him for this." Julian placed a steady hand on Harper's arm. "This changes everything, legally and strategically. With what Ava just revealed, we can not only clear your name, but prosecute him for identity fraud, embezzlement, coercion." Harper's tears finally fell, not out of fear this time, but out of release. "I can't believe he would ruin my life to save his." Julian met her eyes. "He underestimated you, Harper. He forgot that victims don't stay victims forever." Ava leaned forward urgently. "There's one more thing. You need to see the safe in his office. He kept the originals there." He said they were his insurance in case everything fell apart. Julian straightened. "Then that's our next step." Harper wiped her cheeks, heart pounding with a new kind of strength. "Let's do it," she said. But just as they stood, Harper's phone buzzed. A call from an unknown number. A man's voice whispered, "We have your mother. If you want her back, stop digging into Cole Ellington." Harper's blood turned to ice. Her mother, her frail, exhausted, fighting for her life mother. The voice on the phone was low, distorted, undeniably threatening. "Stop digging into Cole Ellington,
or she pays the price. Harper's knees buckled, and Julian caught her before she collapsed. Lila grabbed the phone, shouting, "Who are you? Where is she?" But the line had already gone dead. Ava paled. "Cole, he wouldn't—" Julian cut her off sharply.
If Cole didn't do this himself, someone loyal to him did. Someone trying to protect him now that his world is falling apart.
Harper's breathing turned shallow. "We need to find her. Right now." Julian pulled out his phone, already dialing. "I know someone in private security. He owes me a favor." While he spoke rapidly into the phone, Harper felt the room tilt. Her mother didn't deserve this, none of it. And Cole, whether he ordered the threat or simply created the monster who did, had dragged innocent people into his downfall. Within minutes, Julian hung up and faced her. "We're tracking the call. It pinged near a warehouse district by the river. My team is heading there now. You're not going alone." But Harper shook her head. A quiet fire burned behind her eyes. "I'm done hiding. I'm done being scared. He wants me silent, and I won't give him that." Ava wiped her tears.
Harper, maybe they just want to scare you.
Harper looked at her sharply. "They threatened my mother. That isn't scare tactics, that's war." Julian placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we fight back smart, not reckless." Harper nodded, steadying her breath. "First we get my mother. Then we end Cole once and for all." As if summoned by her words, Harper's phone buzzed again. A text message this time. "One last chance. Stop the investigation. Come alone." Attached was a blurry photo. Her mother, frightened in a dim room, wrapped in her hospital blanket. Harper felt her heart fracture, but her resolve sharpened. Lila whispered, "Harper, you're not going alone. Say it." Julian's voice hardened. "We'll go with strategy, with evidence, with backup. No one touches your mother. No one." Harper stared at the photo, breathing through the fear until it melted into determination. "No," she said.
"I'm not backing down. If Cole wants a war, he's going to get one."
Julian met her gaze with absolute conviction. "Then we finish this tonight." They headed for the door. But as they stepped outside, a black SUV screeched to a stop, and two men jumped out. The black SUV skidded to a halt, tires screeching against the pavement. Two men jumped out, reaching for Harper and Julian. But before they could get close, another set of headlights flashed across the street. A second SUV, sleek, unmarked. Julian's private security team. Within seconds, the two attackers were tackled to the ground, restrained with swift, precise movements. Julian stepped protectively in front of Harper as the leader of his security team approached. "We found her," he said calmly. "Your mother is safe." Harper's knees nearly buckled. "Where is she?" "At a private clinic. She's shaken but unharmed."
"We intercepted the men who were holding her."
Harper pressed a trembling hand to her mouth, relief crashing over her like a wave. Lila wrapped her arms around her as tears finally spilled free. Julian turned to the restrained attackers. "Who sent you?" They exchanged panicked glances, but didn't speak. They didn't have to. Because at that very moment, a familiar voice echoed down the street. "You idiots can't even do one thing right." Cole. He stepped out from the shadows, disheveled, frantic, no longer the polished executive. His world had collapsed, and now he was unraveling with it. Harper straightened, stepping away from Lila. She faced him, not as the broken woman he'd tried to create, but as someone who had surviving him carved into her bones. "It's over, Cole."
No, he snarled. Not until you lose everything like I did. Julian stepped beside her. You lost everything because you destroyed everything.
Sirens grew louder, this time not for intimidation, but justice. Police cars swarmed the street as officers approached with purpose. Ava emerged from behind them, escorted but unharmed. She looked at Harper, voice trembling. I told them everything. Cole roared, lunging, but officers seized him instantly, wrenching his arms behind his back.
You set me up,
He shouted at Harper.
You ruined my life.
Harper stared at him, steady, unshaken. No, Cole. You ruined your own. As they dragged him toward the police car, he screamed threats that no longer held power. The door slammed shut. Silence followed. Julian turned to Harper, eyes soft. It's done. For the first time in years, she believed it. Her mother was safe. Her name was cleared. Her future, finally hers again. Julian extended his hand. She took it.
And as Manhattan's skyline glowed behind them, Harper Ellington stepped into a new life. One built not on fear, but freedom.
Getukkamsuk. And for the first time, she whispered the truth aloud. I survived him. And now, I get to live. So that's it. Our story has finally come to an end. And if you are still here, still watching, still listening, then something in this journey must have touched your heart in its own quiet way. Maybe it reminded you of your strength. Maybe it showed you a part of yourself you forgot existed. Or maybe it simply whispered that you're not alone. You know, the Stoics used to say, what stands in the way becomes the way. Harper walked through betrayal, fear, and heartbreak, and somehow those very obstacles became the path that led her back to herself.
Another Stoic line says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events."
And that's the truth we often forget. Healing doesn't start when life gets easier. It starts when we decide we deserve better. So, my friend, if you're here right now, take this moment as a sign, a reminder that your story isn't over. You can rebuild, you can rise, you can start again. And if this journey moved you, even just a little, go ahead and like the video, share it with someone who needs strength tonight, and subscribe to our channel so we can keep walking these stories together. You're stronger than you think, and you're never alone here. Before we wrap up completely, I want to make something clear for YouTube and for all of you watching. The story you just experienced is a work of fiction, a dramatic narrative created purely for emotional impact, reflection, and entertainment.
None of the characters, events, or situations are real, and any resemblance to actual people or experiences is purely coincidental. Stories like this are meant to help us explore themes of resilience, self-worth, and personal growth in a safe, creative way. They're not meant to represent factual claims or real-life accusations against anyone. Thank you for understanding the purpose behind these narratives and for embracing them with an open heart. If you enjoy this style of storytelling and the emotions it brings out, feel free to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue creating meaningful content together.